businesses choose Verizon Wireless than any other wireless carrier because they know small business with the best technology grows. Now get the lightning fast Thunderbolt by HTC for only $249.99. No rebate required. Exclusively at Verizon. Visit any Verizon store, VerizonWireless.com/smallbusiness, or call 1-800-EZW-4BIZ. Requires new tier activation and data plan. Rules, reservation, and benefits apply. Preference results based on third-party study.
Did you know that technology today can allow mom or dad to age in their home with dignity? GrandCareFlorida.com will monitor your parents' activities using technology. Face it, mom and dad were always there for you, and GrandCare Florida is there to help you help them. Contact GrandCare Florida now and sleep better tonight knowing that mom and dad are happy and healthy. GrandCareFlorida.com. Technology for independent living. 1-888-375-8009 or online. GrandCareFlorida.com.
My special guest on this Good Friday edition of Bud Hedinger Live is District 8 Republican Congressman Dan Webster, who whipped Alan Grayson to take the seat and is fresh from Washington on the congressional break. Thanks for being with us this morning, Congressman.
Hey, great to be on, Bud.
Now, let me ask you, we've been talking this morning about the latest projections that the debt ceiling is going to be hit sooner than anybody expected, and this concerns me. If this is such a dire situation as we're told it is, why in the world is Congress out on a 2-week break? Why in the world is the president campaigning out west? I mean, you guys should be in Washington.
Well, I think that's if we're going to raise the debt ceiling. If we're here, we can't. That might be a good thing.
Are you going to vote to raise it or not?
If we get the right things for it. I mean, if they were willing to repeal Obamacare, if they were willing to take some huge budget cuts, that might be worth it.
Budget cuts at what level?
Well, here's what I would think. Here, I'll give you my whole plan. My thought is we only raise the debt ceiling to fund the current budget through September 30th, which is how long it lasts, less about $25 to $50 billion so we get back the cuts they didn't give us the first time. So we take enough cash plus the money we borrow to fund the current budget, less money, so we end up getting the cuts we wanted. Then on October 1st, we fund the Ryan budget only, nothing above what the Ryan budget would be. So we take the cash and we raise the debt ceiling enough just to fund that budget, and that's all.
Do you think Paul Ryan has it right? His plan is the right plan? I mean, it's being called irresponsible. It is being called draconian. It is being called extremist by President Obama and most of the rest of the Democrats. $6 trillion in cuts over 10 years, a revamp on Medicare. We're getting the Medi-scare propaganda now that there's just going to be the end of Medicare as we know it. Medicare can't survive the way it is. Something's got to be done. Do you believe Paul Ryan's got it right, or are there things about the plan that you would change?
I believe that this, and it's just a skeleton. A budget is a skeleton. The appropriators fill in the gaps. And that's what's going to happen. Each committee will take that up. But what he has proposed is a legitimate plan, a worthy plan that turns spending down so that eventually we balance the budget and we start paying down this debt. If we don't do that, you can talk all about keeping it the way it is, but the Democrats have their head in the sand, because we will not under any circumstance have a country if we don't do what we're talking about doing.
But you know, there are folks in Congress, Tea Party conservatives mostly, who are saying we got to draw a line in the sand now. No deals. We're not raising the debt limit no matter what. How do you react to that approach?
And I know they've done that, and there are some that have said that, but most have said they would be willing to, let's say, repeal Obamacare for that, or have a balanced budget amendment for that. So most people are willing to trade something that would be significant in budget cuts, or at least policy that would cause budget cuts.
You're never going to get a deal with the President of the United States. The centerpiece of his first term here, and I hope his only term personally, is Obamacare. I mean, he would go down swinging on that. He'd fight for that. He spent a year and a half trying to get it done.
Then we'll have to operate on cash.
There's a thought. There's a thought. Let me ask you, Congressman Dan Webster joining us here in the studio. You voted for the recent budget compromise bill on the 2011 budget, the one that averted the government shutdown. And even after the Congressional Budget Office said at the last minute, wait a minute, $39 billion in cuts is what we're being told in the Boehner-Obama-Reid compromise deal, but it really only amounts to $352 million. On that basis, your colleague in Congress, fellow Republican freshman Sandy Adams, said, those aren't the cuts my constituents expect. I'm voting no. Senator Marco Rubio voted no. Congressman Dan Webster voted yes. How do you defend that vote?
Well, first of all, it is cuts. It's real spending cuts. We cut authority. It just doesn't show up for a while. When we budget things, that doesn't mean we spend money the next day. And so when it reaches over into October, that's past that year, so it doesn't do what it is. Remember, it was the Congressional Budget Office that told us Obamacare reduced the deficit. So I don't think I necessarily believe everything the CBO says.
Now they're pretty much apolitical. They're just cranking out numbers. Do you think they're incompetent?
Well, just
do you think they're incompetent?
Well, I just think they're giving a certain set of parameters and they judge things on that. Okay, what's going to happen between now and September 30th? But in the end, we took out of the base the spending authority. Over 10 years, they say it saves $313 billion. It does. It is budget cuts. And so what I think is, first of all, this is different. And I did not want to shut down government because the last time we shut it down, the military budget was already done. And so there was no pay problem with the military. The military can look online 10 days before payday, which was the 15th of the month, and see that they were going to get half their pay. And I think the members understood if we don't do something, we've got to get them paid one way or another. So people that were making $1,600 looked online and saw they're only going to get $800. And so I thought keeping the government open saved money. Paying the military was very, very important, and it did cut spending. And I believe it cut enough to where I'm satisfied that we're going to save enough money to at least finish out this year.
Congressman Dan Webster, my special guest, live in the studio. We're back with him in 1 minute talking oil and gas prices. 822 on the 50,000-watt front porch. An update in the middle of this rush hour on Good Friday morning of real-time traffic and weather together, always on the twos for you. We're looking at sunny and 89 today, and Saturday and Sunday for Easter weekend. Pretty much the same story. You might catch a shower here or there. We top out in the upper 80s, pretty much as good as it gets. Happy Easter, one and all. 69 degrees now here in Orlando. Back with District 8 Republican Congressman Daniel Webster live in our studio. Oil and gas prices. President Obama now says he's whipping up a task force to see whether or not there is fraud in the oil markets that is artificially spiking the price of oil and gasoline. Basically, beyond that, he keeps telling us there's really not much he can do. What would you do that this president is not doing? Because I think his policies, or really a lack of an energy policy, has an awful lot to do with where we are, in addition to the instability in the Middle East.
For sure. There's no question about it. If I were there, I would get EPA to back off what they're doing. We can't drill inland, and there are so many reserves here, and we ought to be doing it. It's safe. It's on level ground, and it is very much the thing to do. To me, we have sacrificed that to say, okay, we're going to depend on the Middle East. So what is Iran saying? Either get rid of the sanctions or we're going to raise the cost to $150 a barrel. We're being bribed. And the reason we can be bribed is because the Obama administration has put themselves in a position to say we really don't have an energy policy. We don't want to have one. We don't have a drilling policy. And in the end, we're going to lose if we don't produce our own oil.
There's no question about it. But what about offshore drilling? The moratorium continues in the Gulf. I think that was a fluke what happened with Deepwater Horizon. It didn't turn into the huge calamity it might have been. And I'm a proponent of getting back to drill, baby, drill off the coast of Florida, where we apparently have tremendous reserves. Where are you on that?
I'm for that, too.
Florida.
I'm sort of for the above.
Because it's dead in the legislature. You used to be the big guy in the Florida legislature, House Speaker, head of the Senate, and et cetera. And right now they've lost all their political will, and they're not driving anything to get drilling done in the legislature. What would you say to them today?
Well, I think I'm not going to tell them what to do, but I mean for
go ahead.
For us, I believe we've got to drill. We've got to have our own oil supplies. We've got to do that.
So drilling off the coast of Florida, you would support it?
I do support it.
And in the Gulf again?
And I think it needs to be safe. I think we ought to be assured that we're going to have a safe opportunity to do it. Also, though, I don't want to minimize the fact that there's more oil onshore that we ought to be doing, and it's the EPA that stops us from drilling.
Absolutely true. I couldn't agree with you more. Congressman Dan Webster, members of Congress are always running because you have a 2-year election cycle. It's reported that you only raised $30,000 in the first quarter here. And Alan Grayson, who's making rumblings like he wants another shot at you, actually has raised more money than you, and he's not even in office. What's going on here?
Well, he wasted over $5 million last time, and it didn't work. And I certainly didn't have that much money to run on.
Are you having trouble raising money, or are you just not pursuing it?
No, I went to Congress to be a United States congressman, not to be a fundraiser. There's a time to raise money. There's a time to engage ourselves in election. But we have got a lot of problems. I'm not looking to the next election. I'm looking to the next generation. That's what I want to do.
What's it been like in Congress, your first term around? I know your family initially was very reluctant to have you run, and without their blessing, you didn't get in the race. Then you finally did. Is everybody, from Dan Webster to the wife and the kids, happy you've done this?
Everybody's happy.
What's it like?
I was in the legislature 28 years. The mechanics are the same. You still speak, you file bills, you file amendments, you talk to people, so forth. The difference is the magnitude of the budget. You add a bunch of zeros and a decimal point way over on the other side, and that's pretty much it. And then the things we vote on certainly affect more than just a district. They affect the United States of America and sometimes international.
Well, you're only several months into it, but do you have a sense, based on your experience, that you'd like another shot at it? Would you run for re-election? Do you believe now, if you had to make the decision, which you don't at this point in time, that it would be to run again?
I think it would be, yes. I plan on running again. I don't see any reason not to. I believe there's going to be an opportunity that will have a different Congress and a different president, and if that be the case, it's going to be a lot better. We control a little over a half of one of the three bodies there, and one of the three sort of votes. And so that's the House. But the Senate's divided. The president's Democrat. We're Republican. It makes it hard. If we could get our opportunity to govern as Republicans, I think we would show the public that we can get this economy rolling again.
Got to get you on record on one issue that's a hot button for my audience here on Bud Hedinger Live, Congressman Webster, illegal immigration. In the legislature right now in Tallahassee, they're going after something that is not as tough as the Arizona-style law. What is it that you would support in dealing with the illegal alien situation here?
From a federal level, I want to enforce the law we have. The reason they're called illegal aliens because they're here against our law. And the problem has been that the president has been very reluctant to prosecute people who are here illegally. We're a nation of immigrants, and people come through the front door, that's fine. But the people coming through the back door, we've got to deal with. First, seal the border, then go after the thugs, murderers, and thieves, and then work our way through a process step by step where we become a nation where something that is illegal is enforced. They're prosecuted.
Because you got stuck in traffic, we're short of time, and I regret that. Very quickly, the 2012 Republican presidential field, I don't see a shining star yet. Is there somebody you believe has the best chance of making Barack Obama a one-term president? If so, who is it?
Well, I haven't made a pick yet. I don't see Ronald Reagan in the race yet. Maybe there is one out there. However, if I had a choice right now, I'd pick Paul Ryan.
Very interesting. Congressman Dan Webster, you're continuing on the congressional break here. Your Stop the Spigot of Spending tour. Where will you be holding upcoming town hall meetings in closing?
Well, we've already had two. We're getting ready to have a big one out in East Orange County next Tuesday, April 26th at noontime. It's going to be at the Orange County Extension Education Center at 6021 South Conway Road.
Thank you, Congressman Dan Webster. pictures of this and video on Facebook. And there you go. And thank you so much for coming in with members of your staff. We appreciate it, and a very, very happy Easter to you, sir.
Thank you. Same to you.
Congressman Dan Webster at 8:29. If you want to react to the interview or his performance in Congress, I've got a line open at 407-916-5400. Toll free, 1-866-916-5400. 8:30 now. News break with Michelle Murillo.
Being immersed in the technological wonders of the digital age, from computers to cell phones, he said they could get in the way of
can slow down as well. Traffic sound, Corgi Bright.
Traffic on air online is service of the Florida Lottery. Wish you had $700,000? The new Lucky 7 raffle from the Florida Lottery may grant it to you. There are over 777 cash prizes, but do not delay. Tickets are limited, and the drawing is May 5th. So acquire your Lucky 7 raffle ticket today because time is running out. From 540 WFLA Orlando's 24-hour weather channel, high-pressure holds on and the high heat will stick around for the Easter weekend. Sunshine, the temperature near 90 today, 91 tomorrow, upper 80 Sunday. Weather updated around the clock on 540 WFLA. Operated Norris at the Weather Channel.
District 8 Congressman Dan Webster on the latest congressional break down from Washington here. He's doing a tour, his Stop the Spigot of Spending tour, town hall meetings, etc., and he dropped by here this morning. I'm sorry he wanted to be on live with us. They got caught in traffic, and it cost us some time in the interview and forced me to move more quickly through things I wanted to get into in more depth. But I do appreciate the congressman being here with us. Let's get on the phone with you and see what you think of his performance in Congress and during that interview with the Bud Man. Here is Bob out of Mount Dora listening here on a Friday morning. Good morning, Bob.
Good morning, Bud. I'll try to be brief, but it's going to be hard.
Well, I'll take care of that. If I need you to be brief, I can make you brief. Go ahead, Bob.
The one thing that I heard from Speaker Boehner and Congressman Webster said the same thing is that they only control 1/2 of 1/3 of the government.
Right. And
correct me if I'm wrong, these are co-equal branches. The president isn't more powerful than the House of Representatives. The Senate isn't more powerful than the House of Representatives. They're equal. So they need to man up and start, governing like they control. They're equal with them. They don't have to compromise. The spending bills originate in the House for a reason. That's because they represent the people who ultimately have to pay the bill. So they need to just tell them, look, this is what the people are telling us they're willing to spend. You can veto it if you want, but you're going to shut it down, not us. We're not paying the bill anymore.
Biggest problem I have, and that's good, Bob, the biggest problem I have with Dan Webster is that vote on the budget compromise bill, and really to say that the CBO doesn't have the numbers right. I mean, I think people pretty much agree that this $39 billion in cuts was a bunch of smoke and mirrors and accounting tricks more than anything else, and deferred spending and whatever else. And if Senator Marco Rubio voted against this, and if Sandy Adams out of District 24 voted against this, I don't understand why we have Dan Webster and John Micah and others voting for it. What they should have done, and this is why I wish I had more time this morning with the congressman, is to say, no. We're not. No. Those cuts are smoke and mirrors. We're going to stop right now. Let's get real cuts on the table. I'm sure we can do it in a day, and we'll vote again. And then we'll vote for something that is real, something that is not make-believe.
Well, if they're not going to man up and take their responsibility seriously, I mean, because if they have this mentality that, they control all the other parts of the government, so we have to compromise, well, shoot them. We're never going to get anything through. What's representative government if they're not going to represent us?
I think you raise some great questions, my friend. Thank you. Will is listening in Orlando. The Webster interview. Go ahead, Will.
Hello. I was at a Webster town hall meeting in Celebration about a month ago, and he started off with a gimmick where he took some garden shears and cut a credit card in half, and so I thought he was going to be serious, like the last caller, on cutting spending. Then he proceeded to say, well, I'll vote to raise the debt limit as long as we get some cuts. And then he talked about
That's what he started out with me this morning here.
Yeah, it was all a gimmick. If you're against raising spending, you're against it. No compromise. So that gimmick that he did where he cut up the credit card was for nothing. And I'm a colonel in the Army Reserve, and I'm tired of being used as a pawn in all this. I will gladly go without a paycheck to save this country. If I'm willing to die for this country, I'm willing to go without a paycheck to win this budget battle so we have a country to defend, so we don't implode from within. And to make matters worse, when the congressman left the Celebration Town Hall meeting, he left in a Kia. just an interesting fact.
Very interesting, Will. Thank you. I appreciate it. You know, and I'm sure the congressman would deny this, and I don't know whether I'm right on this or not, but I think he and everybody else up in Washington has been scared silly by the president, by Treasury Secretary and tax cheat Tim Geithner and others who say you have to raise the debt limit. Never mind that President Obama was completely opposed to raising the debt limit during the Bush administration when he was briefly in the United States Senate. He now says that was a mistake, but on his watch, it is absolutely something that has to be done. And they are scared silly in Congress because they're afraid of what might happen. And once again, scare tactics are being used and used effectively, just the way they were used to get the TARP money in September of 08. Gotta have it now, Henry Paulson said. My God, we're going off a cliff. $700 billion. And bang, they had it almost instantly of our money. And what good did that ever do us? And then the stimulus plan. We got to ram this through now. There's no time to look through the 2,000 pages. You got to pass this, or we're going off a cliff, and it's the end of life as we know it, and America as we have known it. And there was panic in the land and panic in the halls of power in Washington, and they got the money. And what good did that ever do us? And they are just scared to death to say, drawing a line in the sand, whether we get a deal on major spending cuts or not, we're not voting to raise the debt limit. Fear rules in Washington. 8:42 on BHL, real-time traffic and weather together on the twos. Hey, I've got a great idea for you. How about lunch today or dinner tonight at my favorite restaurant, Houlihan's? I was going to say the one and only, but there are 4 great locations here in Central Florida, and they are magnificent. And the menu is just huge, and the food is all made from scratch, and there's something on the menu for every price range, including the brand new menu of 30 small plates. Would you believe it, Houlihan's for just $3? We're talking flatbreads, sliders, kebabs. Wow. And a wonderfully delectable and affordable Easter brunch at Houlihan's. You're going to love it. Check it all out on Houlihan's.com, and 4 locations of Houlihan's, 192 in Kissimmee, University Boulevard near UCF, East Colonial and I Drive. You're going to love Houlihan's just like I do. Lunch or dinner, Easter brunch at Houlihan's.
Traffic on air online service of Dunkin' Donuts. Stop by Dunkin' Donuts today and play Set Scratch Score. Purchase a large or extra large coffee, answer the trivia question on the cup correctly, and win your favorite Dunkin' products. It's that easy. America runs on Dunkin'. Participation may vary. Visit DunkinDonuts.com for details. Here's another question from the Geico Savings Mailbag. Kim from Dallas writes, Hey, Mr. Gecko, do you believe in ghosts? Well, yes, I do believe that there are friendly spirits who are always nearby and looking out for us.
Sort of like the local Geico agents?
Yeah, I suppose you're right. Our local agents are always close at hand, and they really like to help you save money on your car insurance.
But our local agents aren't invisible like ghosts.
No.
But they are really helpful.
Yep.
recommend in your city, go to DaveRamsey.com and click Endorsed Local Provider. That's DaveRamsey.com and click Endorsed Local Provider. As a police officer, I had the duty to investigate hundreds of crime scenes and accidents in our community. As an attorney, that experience has proven invaluable. I'm Mark Nation of the Nation Law Firm. Call 1-800-NATION-LAW, main office, Longwood.
Traffic reports on air online brought to you by AskTheSeal.com.
Do you know who has access to your family and valuables? AskTheSeal.com verifies license, insurance, and performs criminal and sex offender checks on employees. Find a company with the seal of approval on AskTheSeal.com. It's free.
Foreclosure is not your only option. Don't wait until it's too late. Call the law offices of Morris DuPont and Mansfield in Melbourne and Miami to discuss your options. 800-974-2712. 800-974-2712. Appointments in Orlando and Lakebury. Spokesperson is not an attorney.
Oh, the Budman is in love. I'm in love with a jet black beauty by the name of Acura RL. The top-of-the-line sedan from the Acura lineup of fantastic vehicles. I'm test driving it through my friends at Fountain Acura, and I want you to get behind the wheel of this at Fountain Acura as well. You will not believe the performance, the luxury, the styling, and the engineering. Just a fantastic machine, the Acura RL at Fountain Acura. And also there, along with the RL, on their top-of-the-line 7-passenger SUV, the MDX, phenomenal financing rates as low as 0.9% for new ones for well-qualified buyers like you at the one and only Fountain Acura. If you're already driving an Acura, you know how amazing these cars are. They are really something. How'd you like to upgrade your current Acura model to a similar 2011 brand new Acura model with no money down and a similar monthly payment? That's exciting. Check it out. They can make it happen for you. My friends at Fountain Acura. Go tell them the Budman says hey, and check them out on this Easter weekend. You'll love them. South OBT, just south of the Florida Mall. Online, fountainacura.com. The pictures and the video of the interview with Congressman Dan Webster, who was live in our studio. Jenna, you're putting it all up on Facebook for the folks? And for folks who are just getting into the Facebook scene, how do they connect to it and see it all?
Facebook.com, WFLA Orlando. Pictures are up. We'll have the video up in about 15 minutes here. And all that is ready to go.
Fantastic. My full-service executive producer, Jenna. Now, every once in a while, they get it right in Tallahassee, and every once in a while, people across party lines can come together with something about which there can be no debate. When you have 7 people a day dying in this state from prescription drug abuse, when you have these pill mills, a lot of them run by these retired doctors who are just out to make an easy buck, and dispensing hundreds of thousands of these powerful painkillers like OxyContin, something has to be done. We are ground zero for this prescription drug nightmare with 1,100 pill mills in this state. And the whole thing has been unregulated. It's become a magnet for druggies here and across the country. And as I say, people are dropping dead every day. Well, in the House, by a vote of 116-1, a pill mill crackdown legislation has passed, banning doctors from dispensing powerful pain medication. Patients will have to go to a pharmacy to get the drugs now. Tightens up the regulation of pain management clinics. Limits the amount of potent pain medication like oxycodone and morphine that a wholesaler can sell to a retail pharmacy in a month. And sets up a permitting process for pharmacies. And Rick Scott changed his stance.
From 540 WFLA Orlando's 24-hour weather channel, today sunny with a high of 90, tonight clear with a low of 64, and tomorrow sunny with a high of 88. Get the latest news, weather, and traffic anytime at 540WFLA.com.
So, good call in Tallahassee. They got it done, and they deserve praise. Took too long, but better late than never. Lives will be saved, and people who need to be behind bars are going to wind up there. Thank God. Oh, what's going on with that Apple iPhone you love so much? Is it tracking your every move? An update on this story we brought you yesterday. Next on BHL, it's 8:52, our last check on this Good Friday morning of your real-time traffic and weather together on the twos. Courtney, thanks. Sunny and 89 today on the weekend, Easter weekend, Saturday and Sunday. We'll have sunshine, high 80s with only a passing shower, so it looks good. And we're hugging the 70-degree mark already, which is really nice because Lynn and I are heading for New Smyrna Beach as soon as this show is over and I clear up just a few things we need to do. Brought you this story yesterday. The Wall Street Journal is all over it, and I got into it with Mike Salvatorelli, our Wall Street Journal reporter, and our daily Wall Street Journal report yesterday morning at 6:33. We do it every single day. You don't want to miss it. And the Wall Street Journal has really got this story covered about what's going on with these Apple iPhones and also Google's Android smartphone, okay? They regularly, it is now confirmed, transmit their locations, and hence your location, because you're holding the phone, back to Apple and Google. And it intensifies concerns over privacy and the widening trade in personal data. The problem is, and Congress is going after him here, apparently according to telecommunications laws or whatever, they would have to notify consumers that they're being tracked by their own high-tech phone. But they don't do that. And you can't get an answer out of Google and Apple yet, but they're going to keep on trying as to why in the world they're collecting this information. You know, the feeling is, the innocent side of this is, well, we're going to try to market to people based on where they go and the things that they do, and it's to identify potential markets for selling products, etc. But is it more sinister than that? Does it creep you out a little to know that these big companies haven't told you that these high-tech devices that you carry with you know exactly where you are? You know, privacy rights here. I mean, privacy is all but disappearing in this country. And it concerns me. But Jenna and Jeff, you walk around with these devices. They are completely a part of your life, and particularly a part of almost everybody in your generation. Our generation, a little slow to come to the high tech, but we're getting on board. Is there a sinister side here, or should no one be worried whether their phone is tracking them?
Well, but I'd just like to point out your phone also tracks you. Your cell phone company can tell me exactly where you are right now, because they can pinpoint what cell tower you're using. Your phone does the same thing. Our phones just pinpoint more exactly. So our phones are a little more accurate. But it's more than just a point on the map, isn't it, Jen? Isn't it a case of, because you use these phones for so many things, you make purchases, you go to websites, all these things I can't do on my cell phone, they are able to track you in far more ways than my little 1992 cell phone or whatever it is able to track me. Jeff?
Well, not really. Jenna's right in how they track you. The difference is, though, is that with your cell phone and other cell phones, you need a court order to access that information because that cell carrier uses it. With this is logged on your phone, and anybody who gets a hold of your phone can easily access it, and it's backed up on your computer because all the smartphones now, you need your computer, you sync it with your computer, and it's just an easily accessible file that people have showed. There's a downloadable program you can get that literally puts your location on a map.
You know, it's interesting, and tell me whether you think there's merit to this, Jeff. There is a generational gap in terms of the use of this technology that is developing. There's no question about that. It's undeniable. But I think there's a generational gap, too, in the acceptance of the death of personal privacy. I think our generation mourns that loss and finds it far more threatening and dangerous for our liberties in this country and the potential for government control or control by any entity over our lives far more than your generation. I think you guys all feel as though I'm not going to worry about it. That horse has left the barn. Cameras are rolling when I'm in the convenience store, when I'm at the intersection, whatever it happens to be. So let's just stop sweating it and hope for the best. Did I have it right?
Yeah, I think you're right with a lot of people. I personally disagree. I completely agree with what you were saying, and your generation is saying I don't like the implications of this. I'm not. Yeah, I don't know enough about it specifically to see what people are doing now. But the fact that it can be done is very, very scary to me. So much so that when I heard about this, I considered getting rid of the iPhone. But when I found out that it's on any smartphone right now, there's not really much we can do about it, and we're already too late.
Jim, we're getting tight on time, as you can see. It's 8:58. What are your thoughts on this?
I don't worry about it as much. I mean, I make so many purchases online. I use my phone so often that honestly, I mean, I'm the type of person where if they want to track me, fine. I'm super boring. So they're going to have one heck of a time watching me. But I mean, it's the type of thing where they're not, I genuinely believe that they are not using it in a negative way.
A very positive marketing tool. But why is it that they had to be smoked out and that you just didn't know when you went to buy an iPhone? But where they said right there, oh, I want you to know, full disclosure, this phone will know exactly where you are, what you're buying, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah, you're right. And to me, this just gets to the bigger picture of the sort of guilty till proven innocent mentality that's happening in this country, as opposed to it where it should be, where you're not guilty till you have to be proven. You know what I mean? I messed that up.
I know what you're saying. In this country,
now it's switching to where you're guilty till you're proven innocent.
Oh, sure.
Then that's wrong.
Yeah, it is fundamentally wrong, and if it's not fundamentally wrong, it is a fundamental change in America. And this whole death of privacy, I mean, personal privacy is all but gone. And this is just, as far as I'm concerned, raises the ante on that and is further proof of it. We'll talk more about it. Wall Street Journal's got some great stuff on it at WSJ.com. Happy Easter, everybody. Celebrate the resurrection, if you're a Christian, of our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. And whether you're a Christian or not, get together on a beautiful spring Sunday afternoon and celebrate with your family all the freedoms we enjoy and the beauty of this season. From all of us, God bless you and God bless America.